Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's guest, but first, as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, you've heard me say before, these are all companies I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies, and I highly recommend you check them out. So take 3 minutes, listen to the shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. One of the best purchases I ever made as an AD was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. We also want to thank our friends at Hometown. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions for things like digital ticketing, fee-free fundraising, and athletic websites. And whether you're an athletic director, a coach, or a school administrator, Hometown makes it easy for schools to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. You can learn more at hometown.com. That's hometown.com. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. At our school, we used it with great success, and I know you will too. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to show off your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or display your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. It's also a great way to share your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. Our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Join the 8 million users. Go to huddle.com. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Home Campus. Now, Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. Their student athlete and eligibility platform alone is worth the price of admission. Go to homecampus.com for more information. That's homecampus.com. We'd like to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant AD and thousands of others got his master's through the Ohio program, and it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And you'll also complete 11 NIAAA leadership training courses while you're doing it at no extra cost. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. We'd like to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team help you become a world-class social media content creator. It's so easy, even I can do it. And whether it's a simple social media post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter sharing all the great things that your athletic department does, the team at Gipper will have you up and running in no time. As I said, it's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com to get started. And we'd like to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for just about everything. Kids, coaches, parents, you name it. And the information that would come back on these surveys was almost always over the top positive. But it also allowed us to hear from those squeaky wheel parents, address their concerns, and keep them from turning into something big. But here's the great thing. All of that positive feedback, that 98% approval, was tremendously valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going out to Colorado today, and we're going to be visiting with Leroy Lopez. Leroy is a certified athletic administrator. He's the director of athletics at Arvada High School. That's in Arvada, Colorado. Has a tremendous background in athletics, and we're excited that he's stopped by to share with us. So, Leroy, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jake. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we can share a little knowledge with people today.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. As you know, we always like to start out by letting our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up. Maybe take us up through your own high school and college days, and then we'll take a break. But what's the Leroy Lopez origin story?
Sure. Born and raised in Colorado, lived here my whole life. Grew up loving football and basketball. Just really had a passion for basketball as I went into the education arena as once I got into college, and then started getting to the education program, and then took on wanted to fill those hours as well as I could, and ended up getting involved in coaching and just loved coaching. I know what athletics can do for a kid, and so just really became a passion. That's really how I started getting involved in coaching, and then the next thing you know, coaching high school and college and moving through the ranks, and eventually decided I wanted to have a bigger impact in getting involved in athletic administration. And here I am many years later.
A few years later. We're going to dive into all that in later segments. I'm going to go all the way back to that growing up part. Now, Colorado is a big state, and some people might be thinking, the plains and the prairies. Some people might be thinking, ski resorts. What was your experience growing up? Small town, big town? What was it like?
Well, I think a bit of a mix. To be honest with you, my parents were miners up in the mountains when I was a little guy, and then we eventually moved to the Colorado Springs metro area, which is more of a city for sure, a larger city, and then eventually moving to the Denver metro area. So what we call in Colorado the Front Range has been most of my grown up and adult life.
So, junior high, high school, you're, I'm a lot older than you. So,
Whoa, whoa,
what was,
whoa.
what was it like for you, growing up? Was it neighborhood games, backyard football, basketball hoop in the street? What was that like for you?
A little bit of all of that. When you're a basketball junkie, that's kind of what you do. You get your game in wherever you can. Going down to the local park was probably my favorite. Shooting hoops in front of someone's yard was also pulling out the old. Back in the day, we used to put them on the gutter. You know what I mean? We had the old basketball hoops in someone's driveway. That was a lot of fun, and really just getting basketball in wherever I could, and just really having that passion for watching basketball, playing basketball, and then eventually just meeting my coaches and them just having a huge impact on my life, and taking me in a direction that I never thought I would or could. And then also just having that upbringing of basketball sports was just the way of life for me. Growing up in I guess you would say a highly impacted area, growing up with being one of those kids on free and reduced lunch my whole life. Basketball was also one of those things that really could help you escape, have fun, not think about things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Um, Making that transition from, I don't know if you were middle school or junior high, but making that transition into high school, what are some of your memories there as a freshman student, as a freshman student athlete, and that impact that coaches begin to have on you?
I really love the transition is scary, right? I mean, that was my impression, right? You're going from a junior high. I did go to junior high, Jake, actually, so I might be a little older than you think, but we don't have a lot of those junior highs anymore. But I did go from junior high to high school. It is scary. It is a transition. It's an unknown, and once you get on the basketball team, you start to find your family. You start to find those connections, and coaches start to take you under their wing, and they start to become that extended family and the people that take care of you in another way, at least when you're at school. And that to me was the beginning of my career, and my thinking of, boy, this is something that could impact people. This is what I want to do with my life. And then continuing on through education and moving down the road.
You know, I'm a big moments guy, so bear with me on this next question. Can you think back to, let's go and focus on high school. Can you think back to a moment where at the time it really didn't seem like much, but now looking back with experience and wisdom and perspective, you can say, hey, that was a big moment for me. That really impacted my life.
It's funny you say that, but I tell the story often. My friends were what I thought were really good students. They were active in AP classes. They were just really good kids, and that was part of being on the basketball team. And a lot of our, the coach always tells you, you go to class, you get good grades. Well, that's what I did because that's what coach said. Um, and a lot of my friends had plans on going to college, and I really was not that person at that time. Growing up, seeing what my family and some of my community had gone through, just did not seem like something that might be financially feasible. But then I talked to my friends and they said, hey, we're going to this meeting tonight, financial aid, college. And I said, well, I guess I'll go because the basketball team's going. So I'll go too. And what that turned into was opening my eyes towards what the options are, how that all becomes possible, and then set you on another path where coach also says, hey, you can do it. Those guys can do it. You can do it. Everyone gets down there. You watch, you learn, you figure out where you want to go. And I'll tell you, Jake, from those meetings, from that little bit of encouragement where I didn't really think it was possible to being just, hey, one afternoon, someone invites you and says, you can do that too. Huge impact on my life. You go on to do bigger and better things and you have impact on other kids' lives and people's lives. That's really what living a full life is about.
Oh, what a great story. Thanks so much for sharing that. And just another reminder, to all of us, the impact that, a word of encouragement, a gesture can have, whether it's coming from a friend, a coach, et cetera. Great stuff. Boy, we're already off to a great start. Let's go and take our first break. For our listeners, our guest is Leroy Lopez. He's the director of athletics at Arvada High School. That's in Arvada, Colorado. We'll be right back with more, so please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an athletic director was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. It's tremendously versatile. We use it for home games, of course, but we also used it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. You really have to see it to believe it. Go to athleticsurveys.com. That's athleticsurveys.com. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Hometown. Hometown is changing the game with their suite of solutions for things like digital ticketing, fee-free fundraising, and athletic website construction. Go to hometown.com for more information. Whether you're an athletic director, a coach, or a school administrator, Hometown is making it easy for you to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. Like I said, go to hometown.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast, hometown.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest today, again, is Leroy Lopez, a certified athletic administrator at Arvada High School in Arvada, Colorado. Leroy, we spent a lot of time talking about high school. Just great memories. Thanks for sharing those. You already mentioned, you went on to college. You had the idea you wanted to be a coach and a teacher. Talk briefly about that college experience. Anything you'd like to share, and then I want you to share that journey that is taking you to a couple of stops before coming to Arvada.
Sure. In college, really I got the coaching bug, right? Like I loved everything about coaching basketball, really coached everything I possibly could. I was spending time at the middle school, spending time at the high school, just really working my butt off to be as good of a basketball coach as you possibly could be. And back then the coaches would say, hey, you got to offer something else to get a teaching job. So you got to put in the time to be a coach, and then they'll say, hey, this guy can coach. He can help us in a couple different areas. So we'll get him a teaching job as well. So that was really one of the other additions to what I wanted to do is to help me be a little bit more marketable and make myself available for any jobs that were coming open. But really spending just a ton of time trying to soak up as much as I possibly could from some of my mentors and all the people around the Denver metro area that I just really love to follow and learn a lot more about basketball. And then, just really working as much as you possibly could to become as good of a basketball coach as you possibly can.
Um, we use the phrase in our AD profession, but I know it applies to coaches too. You don't know what you don't know. That first coaching gig, official coaching gig, what were some things that you found out that you didn't know about being a head coach?
Oh, everything, I think. Everything. Uh, everything from it still goes on today with new coaches when I hire them. I didn't know I was in charge of scheduling transportation. I didn't know I was in charge of filling out the game book. I didn't know I was in charge of helping to set up the chairs. I didn't, everything you can imagine when you're a young coach. You think all those things just magically happen, and then when you become the head guy, all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, "Man, there's a lot more work involved in this thing than I thought." All the administrative paperwork, making sure kids got physicals, making sure kids are registered, making sure that parents know what's going on. There's so many of those little things that I think it still rings true today. Our coaches still struggle with that because when you're the assistant coach, man, you're the best guy on the block, right? You're so happy you get to coach kids and you get to work your butt off out there on the court. But then eventually what ends up happening when you move into that head coaching role, there's a lot of administrative stuff that needs to get done. And it really does change a bit towards moving from, I think, the court to the paperwork. I think that's probably the biggest learning point for myself as a young coach when I first got into that head coaching job over at John F. Kennedy High School.
Again, you're absolutely right. You mentioned, those things happen by magic. I think that's what parents think, that when they come to the game and everything's just going great. Oh yeah, you did that as an AD. Um, Talking about the journey, my journey, I was a climber. I started at a small school I started as an assistant coach, but I wanted to be a head coach, and so I went to a small school, had some success, went to a bigger school, and eventually, it might have been my seventh or eighth school as a coach, I became an AD. What was your journey like prior to coming to Arvada? We're going to hear about Arvada in our next segment, but what was that journey like? Share that with our listeners.
Well, I started out coaching seventh grade middle school basketball, and then eventually becoming the head coach. Bounced around with a couple different high schools as a teacher and coach. Coached at the college level, some Division II men's basketball. Even coached a little bit of semi-professional basketball. So I really got into that as a basketball coach, coaching the camps, the clinics, but eventually I realized that I needed to have a larger impact and to give a voice to kids that were that served at a highly impacted school, kids that may come from diverse backgrounds. I wanted to offer a little bit more of that perspective that I really felt was lacking in the state of Colorado at that time. And then eventually, I become an athletic administrator. I guess I should really say I was a teacher. And then eventually I moved into a dean role and then moved up to being an athletic director and, just been in a couple different places, had some great experiences. I've served at highly impacted school. I've served at some of the wealthiest schools in the state. I've served at some small schools, some large schools, really the gamut of Colorado, as you said earlier, some of those plains, some of those mountains, and then some of those urban schools. So I really had quite a deep breath of what goes on in the state of Colorado in terms of different schools and how they operate, which has been fun and very impactful.
Oh no, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed, about my career. I'm retired now, but at each job, you're the new person, and so you have fresh eyes, and then you get to bring that experience to, your next position, and just, take the. By the time you're at the end of your journey, hopefully you've got the best of the best of the best from all those different stops. Okay. Um, Administrative support is such a huge part of any athletic director's success. Uh, we haven't got to Arvada yet. Can you give an example of how you got some good administrative support on your journey to Arvada?
Oh man, a lot of those over the years, just fellow athletic directors. Mike Hughes comes to mind. He's been one of those, just a monster of an athletic director across the country, and he's one of those legends here in Colorado. But he's a really good friend of mine, very supportive, and really helped to mentor me. I mean, he says we're colleagues, but for me, it's been way more than that. But also just having some really great principals. I've been blessed over the years to have some people that have been very supportive of what being an athletic director is. Sometimes you get an administrator or a principal or someone above you that doesn't quite understand the role, and it could really wreak havoc on your position. But I've been blessed, and right now I work with a young woman named Caroline Frazee, and she gets it. She's one of those rising star principals, and she understands this is a different role. It doesn't look quite the same. When everyone else is outside doing bus duty after school, I'm inside slinging chairs around the gym, getting ready for the next game, and she gets those kinds of things, and is just super supportive in understanding that yeah, there's going to be some bumps, but yeah, we're going to overcome them.
That is just so great to hear. I was very fortunate, particularly with my last stop as an AD before I retired. Great school, great kids, great coaches. I managed not to drive it off the rails while I was there, but uh, my head of school, we were having a conversation once, and he said, something that really made me feel good. He goes, Jake, um, I was apologizing. We had a late game, one of those games that we always have. And so I decided, I'm only going to come in at 8 o'clock instead of 7:30 like I always do. And he's walking down to the gym. And I said, hey, I'm sorry. I'm coming in late. It was a late night. And he just starts laughing. And he goes, Jake, I don't worry what time you come in. Okay. I know I'm getting my money's worth out of you from 3:30 and beyond. So,
It's
oh,
a huge. It just makes your quality of life at work so much better when you have an admin team that understands and is supportive. Because if there's anything that chases people away from the profession, I think it is your admin team and your principal. If you got a good group, man, your life is good, and things will happen. If it's rough, you may be a tough couple of years, that's for sure.
No, again, it's the old cliche, you'll run through that brick wall if you're appreciated, and your boss, your leader, whatever, has got your back. Great stuff. Let's go and take another break. I know that's shocking to our regular listeners, but we are going to come back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school, tremendous success. I'm telling you, it works. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We'd also like to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. You put one of these units in your gym lobby, whether it's a wall mount or a floor mount, your school's main hallway, your auditorium, and it's going to be a magnet for your student athletes, your coaches, your parents, your alums. Okay. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast. vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes love the videos, and our parents love the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com.
Yeah, Jake, we love Huddle, and it seems like that's been the standard now when you're dealing with coaches and film and sharing with sharing on social media and all that other stuff, sharing with college coaches. Huddle's just become the standard, and everyone uses it in my neck of the woods.
I really appreciate you saying that. And you talk about the standard. There's a lot of great products out there. There platforms and apps and things like that. But I can say I used it as a coach, and I was remember doing video exchanges back in the day on VHS tapes, driving to the convenience store 2 hours away and making the handoff with the other coach. And some of my younger coaches, as an AD, they didn't understand that. But thanks for sharing. You got any memories like that?
Oh boy, do I. Meeting at 7-Eleven, 11 o'clock at night, handing off the tape and somewhere I'd never been before. Yeah, all those are days I'm glad that are gone. Let me
Right.
tell you that.
And the other thing, again, as an older coach, I remember staying up way past 11, 2, 3 o'clock doing breakdowns because we were going to have a staff meeting that next day and having the stats and everything. My goodness. So again, thanks.
It's
Thanks for
it's
sharing that.
changed so much. It and for the better. Thankfully.
Well, again, for our listeners, our guest today is Leroy Lopez. He's a certified athletic administrator. He's the director of athletics at Arvada High School. That's in Arvada, Colorado. Leroy, how'd you end up at Arvada? What attracted you to the position? Did they reach out and kind of recruit you? And what are some things that you do with your kids, your coaches, your program that you're particularly proud of?
Well, came to Arvada because at this stage of my career, I've served in a lot of different capacities. I feel like I've done quite a bit in the state of Colorado. I'm a big proponent of our state association. The Colorado Athletic Directors Association, better known as CATA, in our neck of the woods. Been a past president. Love to teach those courses. Really have had a passion for trying to have all of those experience, whether it be a very wealthy suburban school or being in a rural school. I've done that. And I've also served at a highly impacted school in the past. And for me, that is where I really felt like I could have a real impact on kids in their lives through athletics. And so at this stage of my career, I really felt like it was important to give back, to be a part of something where I can enjoy it and also bring something special to a community and a school that they may not have had otherwise. When you get to schools that are highly impacted, they're very diverse, they got a high free and reduced lunch rate. Typically, you get a brand new administrator in whatever role that is. An athletic director, of course, fits that bill. And you get someone that not good or bad, but just inexperienced. And what I wanted to do was to serve in a population that looks like myself, that has that similar background and experience, and really offer them as much as I possibly can and have a larger impact on kids at this school and within this community to make sure that they're successful and that they're having a first class experience through their athletic department.
Boy, I love that. My boss used to always say, and we were at a private school, so maybe that other end of the spectrum, but he always talked about not just for athletics, but for the school. We want to enhance the student experience, academically, athletically, socially, all that stuff. What are some things that you have brought to Arvada that you're particularly proud of? Or maybe it's a long-standing tradition that you help keep going.
Well, I what I'm really trying to push for right now is the development of leaders within our school. We're bringing in a couple different programs to help with the leadership development. We want everyone to understand that, hey, you can be a leader in your own capacity. If you're a freshman, you can be a leader. If you're a senior, you could be a leader. You also might not be a leader in a positive way. And what does that look like? And so we've been doing a lot of coaching, working with our students, basically pulling them in about this is a large group, but we've been trying to pull in monthly or every other month to basically sit down and go through a curriculum of what does this look like to be a positive leader within not only on your team, but within the school and then within the community. And what we want to do is make sure that all of that athletic experience, that leadership development, then starts to impact the classroom, because that's really what the goal is here, right? We want to have great athletics. We want to develop great characteristics. We want to develop that hardworking attitude, that positive attitude, that growth mindset. We want everyone to have that and then take that back into math class. That's where you're going to have the impact. That's where you really start to develop that sense of community where people say, man, I love that he's involved with the football team, because all those boys sit in the front and they listen, they pay attention, and they're respectful. Once you start to get that going through across your athletic department, you're in a whole different level. And then everyone starts to really buy into everything that's going on in the athletic department.
Now, again, another great lesson. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Was that something that you had in mind intentionally, about, developing leaders, and part of that is sitting up front in the classroom so that the teachers would be more on board with athletics? Or was that just a great byproduct of doing things the right way? And it's not right, wrong, good, or bad. It's just, what was that in your mindset?
Well, a little bit of both. I mean, I feel like we try to teach that, and every football coach in America, I think, tells their kids to sit in the front, right? Uh, but really, we're trying to get kids that have had a tough go, right? And you're trying to inject some confidence into them. You're trying to inject a mentality that, yeah, I can and I should, and it's important to do things the right way every time. When I came here, I didn't really think that was going to be my mission and one of my goals here. But what I found out quickly is our kids need it. They need to know that they're leaders. I don't care if you're a junior and you're a backup on the girls basketball team. You can be a leader and you can have an impact in your own way. And we brought some curriculum along. We've been supported by some donors and through some grants to help us through that process. But it really is important that because those kids, like I said, when I was a young man, it took one person to make that small gesture, that small comment that took me to another level. I thought I was going to grow up and just do the same kind of trade that my dad had done, but because of those comments, all of a sudden, I'm on a podcast with Jake. I mean, look at that.
Well, I appreciate the comment. I don't know if that's a great benchmark, but I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I certainly am. Now you've been at Arvada now. This is your second year, I believe.
Yes,
Um, what are some things that you have seen already in just year two? Some positive changes, some reinforcement that, hey, we're on the right track here.
well, we're starting to see an increase and I know this is not a good way to look at this all the time, but we're starting to see an increase in winning. That and really that for me at my level, at my 50,000-foot view, is a way to say, wow, look, our kids have bought in. Our coaches are teaching, all the hard work, the discipline, the leadership, doing things the right way. All of a sudden, you start to see an increase in competitiveness and that fighting spirit, and kids are starting to realize that, yeah, I can. Yeah, we can. It's not just, this is the way it's always been. All of a sudden, we're starting to get a different attitude, a different spirit. Kids that are maybe they would have gone down a different path had we not interjected and started to teach some of these lessons. So, we've also seen an impact in the school. Been here, and this is my second year. I'll be quite honest with you. We had some tough times a couple years ago, and Arvada is every measurable that you could look at. I feel like we're headed in the right direction, and you could see it. Attendance is up, discipline is down. We're headed in the right direction, and that I feel like is it's a byproduct of what we're doing with coaches and in our athletic department, but also what we're doing as an admin team.
No, absolutely. That's another, cliche that we toss around, but it's a cliche because it's true. Um, Winning is a byproduct of doing all the other things the right way. So, no, absolutely. Great stuff.
It's how we live our lives. That's what I'd like to say with the kids. It's how we live our lives every day.
Oh, I love it. We're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but let's do it now. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more on your leadership program or some other initiatives you're doing, or just add you to their network, what's the best way that our listeners can connect with Leroy Lopez?
You could always email me here at the school. It's leroy.lopez at jeffco.k12.co.us. Also on Twitter, I have a pretty decent Twitter. Oh boy, I can't even think of the name right now, but it's Leroy Low at something. You know what I mean? One of those. But I do have quite a following through the NIAAA. And of course through LinkedIn, Leroy Lopez, and Arvada Athletic Director. I'm looking to always share whatever I'm doing. If I can help other people, that's really been a big part of my career as an athletic director. It's helping other people, other athletic directors, whatever you're going through, whatever situation that you're struggling with or want some help. I'm happy to chip in and share my thoughts. I've probably been there and done that and messed it up and maybe had some success once or twice. So I'd happy to share. And if anyone wants to get in contact with me, love to have them reach out.
Well, again, we'll give out that information at the end of the podcast. Go to the NIAAA portal and you can get all of Leroy's school contacts as well. Let's go and take that break, but we are coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank our good friends at Home Campus for their support. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, or results. And even if your state association already has a platform for that, Home Campus's athletic clearance and eligibility platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com to find out more. Don't forget to mention the podcast. That's homecampus.com. We also want to thank The Ohio University and their online master's in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others, and it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're completing your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. To get started, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. And we'd like to thank Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media creative pro in seconds. I like to say it's so easy, even I can do it. At Gipper.com, you're going to find out how to post social media posts for things like a big victory over your rival, or even an entire newsletter that's going to show all the great things you're doing to your stakeholders. Your students are on social media, your parents are on social media, and if they're not seeing content, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Gipper's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com to get started. That's Gipper.com. You're going to be glad you did. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Leroy, we get a lot of new administrators, new ADs, also younger ADs, and I think it's important for them to hear about our journey with the state association, wherever we're at, and with the NIAAA. Can you share your journey in Colorado and your journey with the NIAAA?
Yeah, it's funny. As a new athletic director, I didn't know the difference between all of the associations for the first couple of years. You're just holding on to your seat, trying to make sure that you're doing all the other things correctly in your role. So you kind of get those things got pushed to the back of the burner or back of the burners for me. I just didn't understand it, didn't know what the worth or the value was in it. But then I moved to a different district, and it was really important to the district athletic director where I was at in Denver Public Schools. Her name was Karen Heigl, and Karen is a really well-known and respected athletic director, both through the NIAAA and also through CAA. But she really encouraged me to get involved, to start taking the classes, and all of a sudden, as an athletic director, I had the ahas. I just started like, oh my gosh, there's all these great resources out here, and I should be taking more classes, and I should be going to the state conference and learning who else is out there and what they're going through. And it just really opened my mind to what the job could be, and also how much fun it was to sit down with people that sometimes it's commiserating, but sometimes it was celebrating and getting to know what's going on out there. How are you successful? You got a community like mine, or you got a community that's very different, but this tool still works. I loved all of my time working with CADA, and still am on the board, still going to the NIAAA National Conference. I think I've taken 44 classes. The last time I checked, and I probably taught as many of those now as well. I teach them. I love to travel. I've been offered a couple of times to go teach those courses at other state association meetings and conferences. So I really love and just I love sharing those learning moments with other athletic directors that makes them better, but also maybe inspires them to do the work at another level. I can't say enough about those associations and how much just the impact they've had on my career. I don't think I'd be standing here on your podcast right now if I didn't have a better understanding and just being involved with those groups, because they just make you better. They push you to be better. Your colleagues, like I said earlier, with a guy like Mike Hughes and Matt Heckle, those guys they push your thinking, and they tell you, hey, I don't like that. I don't think you're doing a good job with that, buddy. But they'll push you, and that's one of the things that I really love about the job, and the personal aspect that comes with it. The relationships, I can't say that enough. The relationships is what really makes everything much better. And the more relationships you have with people across the state and across the nation, you can't help but be inspired by it, but also to have fun with it.
Well, I'm tempted to just end this particular segment right now because that was just fantastic. Wow,
Oh,
what a great endorsement. I am, however, I'm going to put you on the spot. You mentioned that you had some aha moments. Okay. What was one of those aha moments as you were going through this journey of professional development experiences?
well, I love taking the courses, obviously, right? Like I really do, but sitting in those first couple of courses going, oh my gosh, this is something I had never considered before or thought about. I didn't know that you could get to such a degree with, just for an example, game management. Are you thinking about how the chairs are set up? Are you thinking about your entrances? Are you thinking about where your rugs are and those little cords? And, everyone thinks it's all about, just the game itself, making sure you got officials and you got coaches and teams and you're all good to go. But boy, it's so much more than that. And the level of depth that you can get into by taking those courses. And that's why I love the courses, because you can get so deep into a topic that I never thought was possible, because that's how I thought, just as a young coach. Oh, this all just happens. No, and if you're doing a really good job and you're one of the best, you're gonna make sure all your ducks are in a row.
Yeah. No, again, you're just spot on. The content, it is just all inclusive and then some. I mean, it's and next level stuff for any AD, even a veteran AD. You also talked about um, the networking, the connections, the relationships that occur during those LTI courses within the class, but then especially at your table. Okay. Can you share one of those experiences real quick?
Sure. I've one of the great things about going to the national conference is hearing someone from Connecticut, hearing someone from Hawaii, hearing someone from Singapore, and hearing what their experience is like and how different it is, but also how similar it is. You talked about a headmaster. I don't know what a headmaster is. I mean, I kind of do, but in Colorado, we just don't have that. Their principals is what we call them here. But getting into those courses, having those experiences, meeting someone that you never would have met this person in your life had you not been sitting next to them in one of those courses. I love taking the classes, hearing what their experience is, and hearing and just making those connections. Right, like I could pick up the phone. I have a great story, by the way, if you will indulge me. A buddy of mine, he teaches courses across the country. He likes to do the LTCs as well. He was recently in another state. We'll say Kansas, and so he taught the classes there. Next thing you know, he flies out, makes those connections, makes those relationships. Well, then his daughter's driving out to college, and she gets a flat tire in the middle of Kansas. What's he do? He hops online, says, "Hey, you just took my course this weekend. I know this is really weird, but my daughter can't change a tire to save her life." Well, sure enough, they all did the connections, all the ADs. Within a half hour, they had an athletic director there willing to help and change that tire. And that's what is so cool about being an athletic director. You meet so many people, you have such great relationships, and you can pick up the phone literally and call someone in another state, and the athletic director will generally answer that bell. And it is a powerful, powerful thing to have those kinds of relationships. And I love it. I love that part of being an athletic director.
Again, it's that story's that kind of story's been told so many times. I've got my own story to tell. I got a call years ago down in South Florida from an athletic director in Pennsylvania that somebody else had referred. Well, hey, you should call this guy Jake, and I was able to connect them with another AD that was maybe about 2 hours away, where I can't remember if it was a daughter or son, similar situation, but maybe in part because I didn't drop the ball, I was able to help out. That led to being invited to become a member of the national teaching faculty for NIAAA, and it's something I've continued to do now for I don't know how many years. But yeah, athletic directors they just can't wait to help. Great story.
They can't wait to help, and they're just so, it's just such a bond. I can't explain to the other administrators sometimes just how closely we are able to connect in such a small world.
Oh yeah, again, you're just spot on. Well, Leroy, this has just been so much fun getting to know you a little bit more and spending time with you. You're definitely, we've elevated you to friend of the show status immediately, but we're not done yet. We always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox. Now, you certainly demonstrated you know your way around the world of athletics, but we're going to take our final break, hear from Athletic Surveys, who sponsored this segment. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on their very first job, but I'm only going to let you put three things in the toolbox. So let's hear from Athletic Surveys, and when we come back, we're going to see what Leroy Lopez puts in his new athletic director toolbox. We want to thank Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. Athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a very small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys is going to connect you to that group so you can hear their concerns and hopefully keep them from turning into something big. But they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent or maybe your principal or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast, athleticsurveys.com. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with Leroy Lopez. He's a certified athletic administrator, has a tremendous background in athletics, but right now, I'm going to challenge him to send out a brand new athletic director on their first job. Leroy, what three tools are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
Well, I'd like to say the three things that are really important for any athletic director are knowledge, energy, and vision. Number one, you got to have knowledge of what you're doing. And I kind of equate that to the nuts and bolts. Any young athletic director, probably especially a young athletic director, new athletic director, needs to get to know what the bylaws are, what the transfer rules are, and any of those other nuts and bolts type duties that they have at the school, whether that's how you set up your gym or your fields. You got to become an expert and be very knowledgeable in those things. If you don't have the knowledge, people will lose that respect for you. So it's really important that you get acclimated to all those smaller pieces very, very quickly. That would be one of my first things that any new athletic director needs to spend some time on. And of course, in terms of the LTCs, I would make sure that you're taking some of those, right? That will help you a lot too. But then the second thing, energy. You got to bring energy. You got to bring a passion to what you're doing. People that if you're just up there and you don't have a lot of energy, you're not excited about the work that you're doing, then people won't be excited about the work that you're doing either. And they're just not going to be able to be moved. We're here as athletic directors, as administrators, as leaders. We need to move people. And sometimes you're in a tough spot. You don't have people that are willing to move. You're not getting people excited about where we're going. You're going to be stuck in a rut. So get people energized. And then third, have a vision. I know that this was really a tough one for me as a younger administrator. I just thought I was just doing a great job by setting up the chairs, and I, all the paperwork, all the stuff was done, but we are also kind of directionless in some ways. So you got to have that vision of where you want to be. I've gone to schools that said, look, we're not very good right now, but we are going to be good, and this is how we're going to get there. We're going to start challenging kids in the classroom, on the field, in the weight room, and you really lay it out for people, because if you don't have that vision, why would they follow you? They're not going to get in line. They're not going to follow your newest, latest, and greatest mandate. They're just not going to participate in a way if you don't have that energy, and then if you can't show them where you're going. But once they get it in their mind, oh, I get it. This guy gets it. I know where we want to go. This is how I'm going to take my team or group. This is how we're going to get there with that vision as well. Once you get people going, they know that you know what you're talking about. You're passionate about what you're doing. You've got the energy, and then you show them where you're going. You're going to end up in a good spot, and they're going to follow along, and your job's going to be a lot easier if you bring those three things to your job.
Oh, wow. You probably saw me scribbling all those things down. I love your expression, the nuts and bolts. Okay. There's just so much. I would talk to my bosses about the minutia that goes into our jobs. And you're right. You just got to know it. You got to learn it. And you got to become good at it. Or, as you said, people aren't going to respect you. And the energy and the passion, that's something I I like to say, I think I'm being truthful here, that I always had a passion for the job. I just couldn't believe I get paid for this. This is great. I love it. And so I wanted to see that same type of passion from our coaches. I wanted to see they loved kids. They loved their sport. They just loved the whole idea about it. Great stuff. Um, Leroy, we did this earlier, but let's do it again. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, or just add you to their network, what's the best way that they can do that?
Obviously, going to our school website is great. Arvada High School, Leroy.Lopez at jeffco.k12.co.us. I also got a pretty good following on Twitter, LinkedIn, and also through the NIAAA portal. You can always get a hold of me, reach out, give me a call. Love to chit chat with anyone about any kind of ideas or any kind of struggles that they're going through. Love to help, love to support.
Well, thanks again for taking time of your busy schedule to share with our listeners. All the best as we move on into spring sports here in 2025. And if not before, we're definitely going to have to connect in person at the NIAAA National Conference down in my state, Tampa, in December.
Can't wait to see you there, man. And thanks for having me on. This has been great. Love to come on anytime again if you'd had me.
Oh, absolutely. We'll definitely do a follow up. For listeners, we appreciate you. And just a reminder that we do upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of education based athletics. So come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.